Hello, everybody. I'm immigration lawyer John Kasravi coming to you live every Tuesday, 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern from my headquarters in Los Angeles, California, where we help people from across the world. A location doesn't matter for the cases that we do, to help them, understand the immigration system better and the complications that are involved. So we provide this session for general education purposes only, not intended as individual legal guidance, but with regards to the cases that we do handle, people getting married, fiancés, people with extraordinary ability or national interest waiver work that they're doing, people with companies that are starting in the United States, E2 investor company, or transferring employees over on the L1. These are the kind of things we focus on. Citizenship, reentry permits, and some nuanced stuff that's a little atypical, child status protection act cases. Those are the things we focus on. It's all done by email, mail, phone calls, and the like. So we like to come and talk about that here and help you out. As you know, the immigration system is going through a hot mess right now under the current administration, and every day we're getting crazier and crazier news. So we'll see what's happening with that. Unfortunately, we don't have all the answers right now because things are changing so quickly. And just the issue is like we don't know some of this stuff. So we're going to get a lot of questions today about how long things take and all that. And anything I say now won't matter because everything's going to be different. The rules are changing quite dramatically because of that. We don't know exactly what's going to be going on. So my camera shut on and off really quick. Let's see what's going on with that, if I could fix it. But anyways, if you're joining us on social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, and YouTube, just ask your questions. Okay, sorry, I take a pause there to reset the camera. That shut off. I was manipulating it and it shut off for a second. But on TikTok, I think we went off and on, so it kind of blah blah blah. Just kind of get back in. Okay, so let's add stage. So I have some camera issues. I think my audio is working. So again, feel free to shoot out your questions. So we'll get to it. On TikTok right now, we're having some glitches right now for the questions, but we are here. It looks like please plug it back. Select a different camera. Click on the camera. Okay. So we work on some setting stuff behind the scenes, which is always a lot of fun to talk about. Okay, just gotta click a button that I didn't prick. There I am. Okay, I'm back. So please shoot out your questions about U.S. immigration. What are some of the big news is happening? There's a lot of stuff that's happening and a lot of rumors and the like. But you could expect some stuff. So I guess one of the things is if you have a removal order or you're in detention or you have some sort of case that's for deportation, you do not want to file Form I-130 a standalone right now. Typically, people do that so they can open up the case for filing a waiver or to be able to get out of immigration court. They filed the I-130, get approval to get permission from the judge to get out of the immigration court. This is kind of complex inside stuff that I'm talking about. But if you're doing that, there's a good chance they're going to send you to court and detain you. That's the news coming out today. So it's a lot of messes. If you have specific questions, let me know. We'll give general answers, but we'll try to fill you in on what's going on. But it's a doozy from the stuff we're seeing. It's like just incredible that the administrator is getting through this. This is just the beginning of it. So that's what's going to happen. Mario, can I ask you a question? Definitely shoot out your question. I'll let watchers on Instagram, thank you for joining. Freezing a little bit. We're getting back and forth. So feel free to shoot out your questions. We'll get to it. The best place to ask on YouTube, follow us on JQK Law or U.S. Immigration Talk on YouTube. That's the best place because the questions get pretty messy, like back to back on the other platforms. But we're here to help. I think I'm getting dinged on TikTok for shutting off and coming back on because it's not sending my message out to others. So other than the I-130 situation that popped up today, there's a big hubbub and on a disaster about the situation where a person was sent to that prison in El Salvador. The Supreme Court has said, for now, we'll let it stay. We'll bring the guy back, even though that's not typical. What usually happens, they bring it back when they make these kind of mistakes. Next asks, who is supposed to file the Form I-485, I-130 for a minor child overstayed? My husband has been a U.S. citizen since 2002, and I got my citizenship a month ago. Can do it both or just one of us? So if it's a minor child and your husband has been a U.S. citizen since 2002, potentially your husband passed down citizenship. But if that's not the situation, either of you as U.S. citizens could file Form I-130 and apply for the child. Frankly, your spouse should have done that already. But if they didn't, they didn't. The Form I-130 comes from the U.S. citizen petitioner, either you or your spouse. The I-485 is by the applicant from your minor child. However, since if depending on how old they are, they can't sign. One of you would sign as the parent for the child. So that's what would happen in that situation. But just make sure the rest of it is good. There's no fraud charges, no mistakes. But generally, that's how it works. The I-130 is from a petitioner, U.S. person, and the I-485 is from the applicant. But if they're a minor, they would need to have a parent sign for them. ABC asks, hello, sir. We are at the embassy stage right now. So for consular processing, getting a green card through the embassy. From documents that qualify to interview, how long does it usually take? We already have 2 months and a half waiting and no further updates. There's no fixed time. ABC, it depends on the embassy you're dealing with. Some may take 2 or 3 months. Some may take 2 or 3 years to give you an interview. It's pretty disastrous. But that's why we don't go on timelines here, because it really depends on each embassy. And every week is different. So there's no consistency. All right, we got a bunch of questions on TikTok I lost track of. Okay. So Mario says, my case at USC, how much time does it take in my interview? There's no fixed times. The time my questions begin. Okay, so It's Me says, hi, sir, can I ask if it is true you can't travel outside the United States? No, people could travel. Now, if you have like a deportation hearing, if you travel, you might not come back in. It depends on your situation, but there's no ban on traveling outside the United States. It's if you're a green card holder only. So there's a lot of bad information. If you have bad history, you've had arrests or criminal stuff, or you got your green card incorrectly. If you have problems in your green card case or your criminal history background, then yeah, traveling can be a problem. But most people are going to be okay. Aya says, I have an asylum in the past, but I withdrew and have a marriage-based green card. Can I travel to my home country? So historically, yes. Under this administration, I'd be hesitant a little bit. But if you didn't get a green card based on asylum, and if the asylum situation is cleared up, then technically it's no problem. But you never know how they're going to handle it. Ilona says, I am a green card holder, 8 years, been back to my country. I want to come back afraid. Well, you could either file for an SB1 visa or try to fly back in and see what they say. I think what you're saying is you're a green card holder, you've been absent for 8 years. I think that might be what you're saying. Sanders says he is in Europe, Albania. I'm not sure what the rest of the question is, Sandrift. Please keep them all together so I could follow up the chain of thought. Thank you, everyone who's gifting. Appreciate that. HAI asks, I have an interview for my I-130 and I-485. That's a green card based on family. The notice asks for proof of eligibility for lawful permanent resident status. I'm on asylum pending. What documents should I bring to satisfy the requirement? Proof of eligibility for lawful permanent residence. These are just the stuff you should have submitted with the immigration case. This could be, proof of lawful entry, your passport bio page, your birth certificate. For example, if it's a marriage case, your marriage certificate plus evidence of your marriage. The proof at the U.S. person, either a citizen or hopefully it's a citizen or green card holder spouse is a citizen. So their passport, naturalization certificate, birth certificate, whichever one's needed. And you're asking if you need to bring the I-589. I don't like to bring asylum documents there because there's information there I wouldn't want to share with the U.S. officer potentially as private. So it depends on your case. You really should have if you have an asylum pending, you should have an immigration attorney do a practice session with you and go through everything, because that adds extra complications. You're probably okay, but want to look at that in more detail. But it's no requirement to bring asylum-related documents. Next, that follows up, when green card arrives, allowed to U.S. passport. Yeah, so if the child's still a minor, once they get a green card, they immediately become a U.S. citizen. And that's one reason you might not need to file for I-864. You might have one of the rare exemptions for filing the affidavit of support. Nadia says, is an NBC receipt the same as a petition if it includes your name? Who's traveling? That doesn't make sense. NBC receipt, maybe it means you paid the fee. That's not a petition. A petition is with USCIS. So I would say schedule a consultation, because there seems to be a lot of massive confusion going on here. Next, I-64 is the application for affidavit of support. It's a financial portion. If you're asking these kind of questions, I do strongly recommend hiring our office to help you through it. I would 100% recommend it. S says, how long after getting acceptance notice for WP will you get approved? WP, what do you mean by WP? And there's no timelines. Tom Thomas says, hi, would you have an idea of how long the IR1 interview would take from Guatemala once the interview been DQ'd? No, I don't have an idea. TikTok asks, are B1, B2 visa harder to get approved for now? No, it just depends on your background, your case, the embassy. So it's not harder or easier. Jesus says, aside from marriage, if I return with AP, what other options to fix status do I have? If you're an immediate relative, you usually has marriage to U.S. citizen. There's not much if you return by AP. You're going to have potentially, probably have some sort of unlawful presence in history that's going to prevent for you to adjust status based on a family relationship. And on work basis, you have too much unlawful presence to be able to adjust status. You need to still go to the embassy probably, but some sort of family or employment-based case. 808 says, my sister-in-law got her green card through lottery, been here for 2 years. Is it safe to travel? I don't know your sister-in-law, so I can't advise. I don't know anything about her background. John says, hey, I need help. I'm in Yemen. I'm a U.S. citizen. My foreign spouse is from here. We need to go back to America fast. Our country's going through war. So I'm typing, we're getting hit right now. That's horrible, John Rock. I'm really sorry to hear that. Unfortunately, the U.S. is the one who's hitting you, and they're not very helpful in the immigration process either. So I doubt there's a way to expedite. Give it a shot, but to get them quick here from Yemen, you know, it's been a month can hit every day with missiles. Sorry to hear about that, John Walker. But as you can imagine, they're not very open. But you can request some sort of expedite with the embassy directly for a marriage green card. Hopefully that takes a couple months. Probably will take much longer. But you just kind of got to get out of Yemen and see what you can do. So work permit, WP. Immigration lawyers don't necessarily, it's EAD. So WP is not the initials to use for work authorization. If you want to say it's EAD. But there's no timeline. It could be a month. It could be 9 months to get the work permit. Nadi says, my case was closed because they didn't receive my husband's medical. They opened, but not mine. Opened his, but not mine. I don't want to tell you. You should have challenged them on that when you had the time. I don't know. You're welcome, Jesus. Is CBP checking phones at entry at airports for a very, very few number of people? You got to imagine there's millions of people traveling, so they don't really have time to check everyone's phones. If there's a reason for them to check your phone, they'll check your phone. But statistically, it's going to be insignificant with the numbers of people coming and going. User 76 I-730 still processing or stopped? I don't know. We don't really handle I-730s. And there's rumors. A lot of this stuff is rumors that it's stopped. It may be, but there's nothing formal. Faizan says, USA sent an email. They're actually working on my case. After 2 months, I went there for an interview. Okay, just got to wait. Potentially, you're going to get an approval notice like tomorrow when they say that. Now, says, my case was closed. We can answer your question. TikTok says, I got picked for H-1B lottery. If you, that's good. Can I visit the U.S. between now and October if I have a current B1, B2? You could try. It's up to the border officers whether they'll let you in. Usually they will, but it's up to their discretion whether they'll let you in. Matthew says, I'm a Canadian. I got my perm resident card 3 days ago. Do I need to worry when crossing? Not unless you have bad history or issues with your case. John Walker also, can you help in this case? I'm able to get you as my lawyer. I'm not a specialist in Yemenese cases, so I would say contact a law firm that handles more Yemen cases. I'm familiar with the documents and the unique issues they had years ago. I remember they had to go to Egypt for their interviews, and but I haven't kept up. I haven't had a Yemenese case in many years. Norma says, hi, how long does it take to process our fee? There's no timelines. There's no fixed time. That's how long they take. Jose says, can I apply for N400 with misdemeanor of trespass in 2021? You need to consult an immigration attorney on that one, Jose, and they need to see the conviction record, any police records, and analyze your history and personal background to be able to answer that question. I see my I-485 in a semi-I-485 November. Okay. Matthew List already answered your question. CJ Hammer, what option do parole people have before April 2024 deadline? It depends. Asylum, marriage, if there's a work-based thing, it depends if their background is. User says, what happened? Asylum-based green card. They're potentially pausing those cases while they're pending. Faison says, thank you. It's been 2 weeks for that email. I got nothing. Yeah, the government timelines are horrible. Yorsi says, are you receiving any approvals on marriage petition on Trump's administration? Yeah, we just got a marriage case approved last Thursday. So they had an interview too. Boss Lady, are people still able to travel with pending I-751? Yes, that's normal. The news that happened was for a person that had their I-751 denied and they were in immigration court and they traveled. And that's the person that wasn't permitted in. But if you have a good background, a clean background, all that stuff, travel is still happening like normal. Jamali, thanks for joining. Thanks for your question, Boss Lady. So for a vast majority of people, everything is still the same. And that's the thing that's happening right now. People are getting really worried, which I understand. But you got to understand there's millions of people in immigration going through this process. So I'm trying to. It's not working. Sam says, are LPR safe to travel abroad with a clean record? If you have a completely clean record, yes. One problem is that people don't know what a clean record is. So a lot of times, like when people come to us for citizenship, we have spent half an hour to an hour reviewing their entire history to see what's going on. Then they realize, oops, I have fraud or misrep here. I made a mistake here. I didn't put this information down here. Or I had an arrest I didn't remember, all this kind of stuff. So when people say I have a clean call us up, we say I have an easy case, I have a clean record. That's usually a number one indicator that they don't have an easy case. That it just like people who have good cases never say that, just from 10 plus 15 years of doing this. So yeah, if you have a clean record, you're fine. But what is a clean record? Plus, you can have a clean record, but they can make mistakes too. So there's all these different factors that go into it. We talk about it, get a risk, but most likely you're okay. I'm trying to make the screen lighter on TikTok, but it just makes me give hearts to myself. So I'm not sure what's going on. Rashad says, after submitting the F400 application, how many months will it take to appear for a citizenship interview? It depends on how busy your local field office is and how complicated your case is. Official says, do you handle application on student visa with overstay on B1, B2? If you overstay to B1, B2, you can't change status as student visa. You have to leave the U.S. And then if you overstay for more than 6 months, 180 days, and you're banned from returning for many years. So I can't handle a case that's not going to work. We have a consultation on it. Go to our website, jqklaw.com/contact, and fill out the info, and we can schedule a consultation. So I can't promise something that's not doable, but we have a consultation to figure out what's going on. Again, the website is jqklaw.com/contact. And if you're interested in a marriage or fiance visa case, you have a detailed guide, 50 plus pages. Go to marriageimmigrationlaw.com, download the PDF. It's marriageimmigrationlaw.com. Download that there. It's going to be very helpful for you. Are they checking additional sources with deep vetting or just being more strict? Probably they're using AI to do stuff, I'm guessing. Sarah says, I applied for fiance visas in 6 months. I couldn't get any approval. What should I do? That's normal. That's normal timeline. USI still pauses for card. I'm not sure what that means. USI still pauses for card. I'm not sure what that means. Munter says, Slam, big boss. Good to see you, Munter. It's been a while. What happened to your client who applied for the ranch permit? Did they end up getting the receipt notice? Because I recall you asked about delayed credit card payment. Yeah, everyone got the receipt notice. The credit card payment, they say they have credit card issues, but it goes through. So everything worked out. Now they have to do a fingerprinting appointment, which is biometrics, which is hard because they got to fly back again. But everything was working out good so far. Jamal says, can I travel advanced parole with Form I-485 pending? That's what the form is for. Whether you can travel, I don't know because I don't know anything about your background. Sarah, I already answered your question, Sarah. Sarah answered your question. 6 months waiting for a fiance visa, that stuff, it's normal. There's nothing to tell. They just got to wait. Abu Kamed says, if I have a felony over 24 years ago with green card, can I travel? There's no problem. No, you're probably going to have problems. They're probably going to stop you at the airport and detain you. Jay says, I've been a green card holder through marriage for 17 years. Justified for naturalization. How long? Depends on your local field office. Mimi says, USS still pause illegal green card. I'm not sure what an illegal green card is. You got to ask a proper question. Aliyah says, how long does name correction on a receipt notice take? It's immediate when you go online and submit it, but whether you're going to resend a receipt notice or whether it goes in the system properly, all that kind of stuff is anyone's guess. Can a green card travel to Africa? Generally, a green card citizen can travel to Africa. I'm not sure you can. Official says, what's the only visa possible for those who overstay B1, B2 without leaving the U.S.? If you are a parent of if you enter lawfully and you're parent of a citizen, spouse of a citizen, or minor child of a citizen, that's the only way to get status, practically speaking. There might be U visas and one-off kind of stuff, but generally that's the only way for 99% of people. Kai says, does USCIS pause asylum-based green card application? There's rumors that I think are true that they have. TikTok says, can newly turned green card holder who gets green card age 68 be able to get Social Security? I don't handle Social Security benefits and law, so I don't want to advise on that. Adham says, can I travel if I got my green card through marriage and my asylum case is pending with USA? You can travel, but that asylum case might just jam up the system some way, but generally you can. I can't guarantee you they won't hassle you at the airport. Rashad says, sure, should we travel out to the U.S. after submitting 400? Should you? It's not my job to say should. It depends on your case and your background. It's possible for most people, but I'm not sure if you can. S. Sam says, I'm on pending asylum status and have my I-130, I-485 interview coming up soon. Will they need to see proof of my asylum status or anything related to asylum? No, not supposed to. Is bringing E80 enough since it shows CA category? We don't really need to get asylum status. This asylum status is not status. It just means asylum pending, which means you have an authorized state pending asylum case. The more important thing is showing lawful entry. And hopefully your I-130 is based on marriage to U.S. citizens. If it's not, they're probably going to deny your case. Otto says, what can happen if your spouse sent a letter to USCIS saying to deny your 751? They're going to be extra cautious with your case. Caitlin says, should innocent green card holders hold off on trying national right now? What do you mean by innocent? I don't know. It's up to you if you want to do that. Kais, I've asked your question like a couple times, so please stop putting the same question. How much is your consultation again? We got to see what kind of case you have. So go to jqklawcom/consult. I'm sorry, /contact, and put in your information there so we see what's going on and we can respond to you there. Okay, I do have to put you on mute. I already responded, and you just mute the account. Is a job letter necessary when sending your application? What kind of application are you sending? You're welcome, Sam. Ola says, can it travel with my I-75 an extension letter and a Trump policy? Yes, it's pretty standard. Whether you can travel, I can't advise because I'm not your attorney, but generally people can travel with the I-75 and receipt and the expired green card. Are my chances good of finding EB3 sponsor and hospitality experience? I'm not a employer, so I can't tell you chances are. I just handle immigration. Can we travel with refugee travel document along with my ordinary passport because no one's issuing visa RTD? I wouldn't recommend under this administration using your passport if you're a refugee. Talmos answered. Ado says, if you have proof, you can file for. Kais answered your question. Sarah, my fiance is in Afghanistan, but there's still being people from Afghanistan. I'm a U.S. citizen. I don't know what's going to happen with that kind of case. How long it's going to take. Aaliyah says, how long does it take for U.S. citizen parent to file for child under 21 in another country? It's going to take, it's going to take a couple years because the embassies are backed up. It depends on what country they're from. It could take 1 to 2 years or longer. Next says, my wife's is F1 visa holder. You can try requesting expedite. Next says, my wife's F1 visa holder. Our green card interview is next week. Should my wife apply for OPT? If so, when should she apply? Before or after the interview? I mean, if your interview is next week, as long as she's maintained status, just time. I don't know. Like next, I got to see what's going on with your documents, your I-20, the interview notice, when you graduate. That's too case specific for me to answer that here. One great Scott says, we have an interview for green card after marriage. Should we be concerned about the administration's current actions? Should we remove anything political from our phones? I don't know. I can't answer anything political. If you say bad stuff, then you should take that off. Should be concerned. I don't know about your case to be able to advise you what should be concerned or not. What about? Chatita says, hello, sir. Can I renew my permanent resident with an old DUI misdemeanor, non-aggravated? Most likely, but I can't give individual legal guidance about a serious situation like that. Essentially having criminal records I can't really tell people what to do here because it's discretionary. You're probably okay, but it's discretionary. We got to see what else has happened in your life, what the situation around the DWI was, what positives you have to overcome it, all that kind of stuff. And you got to see the conviction record. Tamil says, we answered that question. Brianna says, my interview is scheduled today after 4 months of applying. Wish everything good luck. Good luck. God bless. Tamil says, but I just mean if it's possible in the sense that does it happen or is it too complex for the employer? Yeah, it happens. Anything happens. It's just not a question I can really answer. Sharma said, I requested FOIA. Which page is most important? It's not a particular page. FOIA just means a copy of your file and whatever documents you have. So we got to read the whole thing. There's no which page is most important. It's like what's going on in your case and what's important for the thing that you're trying to do. It could be anything. Chatita says, DUW I have 8 years ago. It's still, we got to see what's going on. Crypto says, never did civil service when I was 18. Now 40. I just applied for citizenship. I have a problem. No, it's past the time where it'll be a problem. Unless they get strict on it. Gurpreet says, I'm a green card holder. Gurpreet's saying there's so many people with your same name. I have like 2 clients with the same name. I'm a green card holder. My wife came through student visa 2 months ago. Can I apply for I-130 for her? Please schedule a private consultation to discuss the nuances of that case, Gurpreet. Sharmas, we answered your question. Okay, so Gurpreet, definitely schedule a private consultation. Download our guide, marriageimmigrationlaw.com. But we got to see what she told the government to get her F1 student visa and all that kind of stuff. Dr. Jim says, I-130 approved last July. I verified denied because of affidavit. I-290 filed, case reopened, 5 minutes. Case reopened. Next, you got to see the government will send you letters about your appeal and what happened. Irfan says, can we file a written mandamus against the embassy? I put us in AP. You can. It's less and less likely to be successful nowadays. All right, we only have a couple more minutes. Do you handle EB3 processes? No, we don't. If you had some questions, let me know. We're also going to call it a day. We'll be back in next Tuesday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. If you follow us on YouTube, it's probably the best. We have really good content there. Go to YouTube, type in JQK Law or U.S. Immigration Talk, and you catch us there. User 17 says, green card holder drove without a valid driver's license make me inadmissible. No, I just got a case last week approved like that. So it doesn't make you admissible. It depends on the totality of circumstances. They might start hassling you in this administration, but very unlikely as possible. Chanel says, do you see CBS reinstatement? It depends on what the case and the reason is. There's hundreds of students right now are going through that same situation, which I'm not sure which way it's going to go. Where do I check my record? FBI, DMV, INS, and other. There's no INS. It's USCIS. Each of them have their own procedure for requesting your file. Just ask Google or ChatGPT, and you'll have your answer. Sharma says, can't contact you. I really want my N400 phone number. Go to our website, schedule a consultation. Go to jqqlaw.com/contact, and then fill out your situation. We can schedule a formal consultation and take it from there, Sharma. Next says, will losing the job of the sponsor after the green card interview cause USCIS to request RFE for affidavit support? Usually they don't, unless it's so strict, but usually they don't bother asking about that by the time of the interview. It's rare. I've never seen that happen, but technically they can. Where's my coffee? There it is. All right. So having said that, thank you everyone for joining us today with this session. I'm U.S. Immigration Attorney John Khosravi. We handle cases from across the country and across the world. Everything we do is by phone, email, mail, that kind of stuff. If you're interested in having a consultation session, go to our website, jqqlaw.com/contact. Fill in that information there and we'll send you a response. And if you're interested in a marriage green card case, download our guide. Go to marriageimmigrationlaw.com. The website's marriageimmigrationlaw.com. And download the guide, helps you out, and then schedule consult after that. When you ask, hi there, can I travel with I-551 stamp international? Thank you. Once you get the green card stamp, your passport is valid for 1 year after entry to the United States. So you can travel with a green card if that's what you're asking. And Texas Boy says, thank you. Attorney John is the best. Thank you so much, Texas Boy. I appreciate that. QMax, good to see you. Munir says, I've been married more than 2 years. My I-130 is approved. My I-485 is still pending. My wife was a green card holder when we got married. F2A case. Now she's an American citizen. She wants a divorce. That's not good. Yeah, you got to get a private consultation to see if there's abuse or something like that. That's not good that it took that long. Munter says, thanks for letting me know, boss. I'm applying for in the summer and wait in the U.S. until I get the text message on the phone that says it's been accepted. I live close to the border. Oh, that's good. Munter, so coming back for biometrics, no problem. Good. I'm just concerned about CBP until I get the actual permit because it takes a year. And community ties. If you're coming to the border back and forth, they're very unlikely to bother you. Kay says, USCIS sent me a notice for a second interview after an RFE for N400. Is that concerning? That's not typical to want another interview. They may cancel it because it's a waste of time. So it may be concerning. What was the RFE on? What is your past history? All that kind of stuff. You 100% should have got an attorney once you got the RFE. But now schedule a time with an attorney that's local to you that may come to you at the interview. We got to see what's going on. Then I'll hopefully trying to pick you up or something like that at the interview. And it could be just a glitch too. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. It was good speaking with y'all again. I'll be back next Tuesday, same time, same place. And until next one, God bless. Be safe.